Om Shuklam Bharadram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vedvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजानन महर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे श्रीमहागणपतये नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं वेट्रिवेल् मुरुगनुक्कु हर हरोहरा लोकवीर्यं महापूज्यं सर्वरक्षाकरं विभुं पार्वतीहृदयानन्दं शास्तारं प्रणमाम्यहं स्वामिये शरणमय्यप्पा वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्तिव्रजोऽयं श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरधाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കനായി കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good afternoon, everyone. So what we'll do is we'll probably have a review session next week or the week after or something like that. So we can just do all the sessions review at that time. So we'll directly jump into the class today. Okay. So now on the Dasakam 9, I think we did one stanza of it, right? So we'll have to start with the second stanza. So let's see here. So Gopiji, you can be a student. Tulsi, you can be a student. Okay, first off. So stanza 2. Maharnava vighurnitam kamalameva tat kevalam vilokya tadupashrayam tavatanum tunalokayan kayesha kamalodare mahati nissahayohyaham kutasvididamambujam samajaniti chintamagaat. So the first two stanzas, right, explanation. So like we saw in the previous Dasakam, right, we saw how this was the explanation of the first day of the 51st year of Brahma, right, where it said this Brahma then came from the navel of the Lord. So from the navel of the Lord, there came like a bud-like thing, which kind of had all of the worlds, the subtle part of all of the worlds embedded in it. And then from that, everything was going to come, and Brahma was kind of sitting there on the very top of the lotus. When the lotus, imagine like lotus like structure, not an actual lotus necessarily, but a lotus like structure, and Brahma was sitting on there. So when Brahma is sitting there, and then it's the first day again, waking up. So again, he looks around, and of course, there's nothing, because only the top three worlds are there. All the other worlds are already gone, and there is no beings or no creatures, nothing else is there. So Brahma, then it says he's looking around in all the directions, and that's how kind of he has four faces. That's the explanation given. He has four faces because he's looking around in all the directions to just show that he can see anywhere he wants. Right? That's the amount. That's what he's endowed with. Now, this Brahma also was sitting there. Again, he's confused a little bit, right? Like, when we also start the first day, or a new day at work, we have to go and kind of reset. What am I going to do? So this Brahma is also thinking, I'm sitting here and I know I'm supposed to create. He has a knowledge of Vedas inside of him. But now he's sitting. Why am I sitting here? Where am I sitting? Because he's now seeing this, and they're describing it as a lotus with a stem, but I'll kind of explain it a little bit more when we come to the next stanza. So but he's saying, whatever I am on, this thing must have come from somewhere, and this thing has a root or a stem, which is kind of a thing attached to it, right? Or it may not be a physical stem, but something which is an imaginary one. So he's thinking, where is this coming from, right? And the classic comparison that is actually given to is, if you think of the womb, right, of a mother, where the baby has a placenta which is attached. Now the baby is getting the food into the placenta, and inside that egg the baby is there, or egg, like the womb, the baby is sitting there. Baby doesn't know where things are coming from, but something is coming to it, right? Similarly, Brahma is sitting there in on top of this the Brahmandam at the very top, and he's saying, I am connected to something, and I don't know what I'm connected to, and I don't know what is the source of where this tube is coming from, or the stem of the lotus is coming from. So that's what Brahma is contemplating in the second one. So Maharnava Vighurnitam, comma, Kamalameva Tat Kevalam Vilokya. So put a plus there and then a comma after Vilokya. Tadupashrayam Tava Tanum tu Nalokayan. Maharnava Vighurnitam Kamalameva Tat Kevalam Vilokya Tadupashrayam Tava Tanum tu Nalokayan.
महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन् महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन्
महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन् महार्णवविघूर्णितं कमलमेव तत्केवलं विलोक्य तदुपाश्रयं तव तनुं तु नालोकयन्.
Ka esha kamalodare mahati, comma, nissahayo hyaham. So hyaham, comma, kutaha, put is kutas svididam ambujam. So kutas svididam ambujam, comma, sama janiti chintamagat. Kahesha kamalodare mahati nissahayo hyaham kutasvididam ambujam samajaniti chintamagaat.
क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात् क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदमम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात्
क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात् क एष कमलोदरे महति निस्सहायो ह्यहं कुतस्विदिदम्बुजं समजनीति चिन्तामगात्.
The last time the comma is after ambujam. Svididam ambujam, comma, and then samajani. So I'll combine 3 and 4 and tell the meaning. Amushya hi saroruhaha, comma, kimapi karanam sambhavet, put a it at the end of that line, comma. Next line, the diti becomes iti. Iti sma krita nishchayaha. So the is that is there, put a visarga and a comma, nishchayaha. Sa khalu nala randradvana. Amushya hi saroruhaha kimapi karanam sambhavete ite sma krita nishchayaha sa khalu nala randradvana.
अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृति निश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्म कृति निश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना
अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्मकृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना अमुष्य हि सरोरुहः किमपि कारणं सम्भवेत् इति स्मकृतनिश्चयः स खलु नालरन्ध्राध्वना.
स्वयोग बल विद्यया, comma, samavaruಢवान् प्रौढधीहि, comma, put a visarga there and comma. Next line, that is goes away. Twadiyam ati mohanam, comma, natu kalebaram drishtavan. Swayoga bala vidyaya samavaruಢवान् प्रौढधीहि twadiyam ati mohanam natu kalebaram drishtavan.
ராஜேஷ் அந்த இது வந்து சயோகவா ஸ்வயோகவா
Swayoga. Swayoga is his own potency, his own yoga potency. Swayoga. Good.
स्वयोग बल विद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान् स्वयोग बल विद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान्
स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान् स्वयोगबलविद्यया समवरूढवान् प्रौढधीः त्वदीयमतिमोहनं न तु कलेबरं दृष्टवान्.
Stanza 4. ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् निवृत्य कमलोधरे सुखनिषन्न एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमाधदे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही. So, like, they describe all of this like it's a lotus with a stem. So I'm also going to say it that way. Now, in reality, we don't know how it is. Is it a shape or what it is, right? So the Brahma is sitting there, and then, like we said, he's thinking, I'm sitting on the top of this, and there is something. It must have come from something, because there is this stem which has to be supporting the lotus. So what this Brahma does is he starts going through that stem. He starts going through it with that's why Swa Yoga, through his yogic power. He's trying to go through that to say there must be some source to this from where this is coming from. And then he keeps on going. He goes for a really long distance with his yogic power. But however, he's not able to find the source of where it is actually coming from. That's because at this time, the Lord had determined that that is not the way you're going to find out where it is going to come from. You're going to find it out through other ways. So anyway, he goes through a long way. So the way like we were talking, I think towards the end of last class, right? So there is one, the Supreme Brahman who's there, who then starts a creation. We saw the first time when the creation was happening, right? He created the Andam, he went into the Andam and created all the basic things like time, space, concept of it, Mahat, intelligence, all that thing was created. That was one avataram. That is the first, like we said, that's the first incarnation. Then what happens is for each of these Andam, for them, there is a incarnation which happens, which is called as the Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu. So this Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu is lying at the bottom of this Brahmandam in the Garbhodaka ocean or waters or Garbhodaka. So this stem which is coming, or the description of the stem, is coming from the navel of this Lord who is lying at the very bottom of the 14 worlds. And like if you imagine that, like we continue with that imagination of the stem is going all the way up to Satyaloka through all these 14 worlds, and at the very top Brahma is sitting. So Brahma has no idea how deep this whole thing goes. So he keeps going down and then he gives up at some point because he's not able to go further and he doesn't know what is happening, and then he comes back again. So that is the second incarnation of the Lord which happens inside the concept of the universe. And the third incarnation or presence of the Lord is, like we always said, is there is a main Vaikuntham which not everybody can go to, but because of for the access to the gods and everybody inside this Brahmandam, there is another Shweta Dvipa which is the Karana Vaikuntham which is there. So that is in the Saptarishi planets, this planetary system. That's where the third Vaikuntham is. That is the third incarnation. So you kind of have to think of this Vishnu or Narayana in three concepts. One is the main one through which everything starts. Then in each of this Brahmandam at the bottom, there is a Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu. Then inside each Brahmandam, there is in that Shweta Dvipa, there is another Vishnu who Brahma and the gods all go when they need help because they cannot access the main Vaikuntham, right? So anyway, since Brahma is going all the way, he's not able to find it. He's going and looking in the nooks and corners everywhere and he has no idea where anything is. And finally, he comes back. And then like it says here, Ekagradihi, with a single-mindedness, with absolutely no other thought, he then starts meditating on you. So tataha put is tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayanne, prayasya shatavatsaram, kimapi naiva sandrishtavan. Tatas sakala nalika vivara margago margayanne, prayasya shatavatsaram, kimapi naiva sandrishtavan.
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्
ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान् ततः सकलनालिका विवरमार्गगो मार्गयन् प्रयस्य शतवत्सरं किमपि नैव सन्दृष्टवान्.
And to the second line after Shatavatsaram, there is a comma, okay?
Sure.
And I think that Nalika, you are making it a long li. You're saying Nalika, that's why it was not landing. Nalika, short.
Sure.
There. Yeah. Nivritya kamalodare, sukha nishanna ekagradihi, samadhi balamadadhe, bhavat anugrahai kagrahi. Nivritya kamalodhare sukha nishanna ekagradihi samadhi balamadadhe Bhavadanugrahaiकाग्रही
निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही
निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिफलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही निवृत्य कमलोदरे सुखनिषण्ण एकाग्रधीः समाधिबलमादधे भवदनुग्रहैकाग्रही.
Stanza 5. Shatena parivatsaraihi. So put a visarga and a comma here. Vatsaraihi. Then on top of the dr, the next word, there is a ir. You remove that off. Drida samadhi bandhola sat. And then put a plus. Prabodha vishadi kritaha. And then a comma. So one comma after parivatsaraihi. Plus at the end of that line. Then prabodha vishadi kritaha, comma. Sa khalu padmini sambhavaha. शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः.
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः
शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः शतेन परिवत्सरैः दृढसमाधिबन्धोल्लसत्प्रबोधविशदीकृतः स खलु पद्मिनी सम्भवः.
अदृष्ट चरम अद्भुतम, comma, tava hi roopam antar. If you want to break it, roopam antar drisha, and then put a plus, and then say the whole of next line together. So one comma after adbhutam, then everything continues. Antar drisha vyachashta paritushtadhir bhujaga bhoga bhagashrayam. अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्दर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम् अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्दर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्
अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम् अदृष्टचरमद्भुतं तव हि रूपमन्तर्दृशा व्यचष्टपरितुष्टधीर्भुजगभोगभागाश्रयम्.
Stanza 6. किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेकलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरं कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदै भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्. So Brahma is now meditating because he gave up, right? He's not able to go find the source of this. So then when he meditates and finally then knowledge dawns on him. So the first day, again, I'll keep comparing these two so you know the difference. The first time when he gets a knowledge, if you remember, he's able to zoom in and see what is in Vaikuntham, because that is the first day of the Brahma, and he's looking at the main Narayana. That's what he's looking in Vaikuntham. This Brahma is now in his day. So now he's going to look at the Mahavishnu who is lying in that Garbhodakashayi ocean. So now when he's now meditating, the knowledge he gets, what he's able to see is he's able to see the whole structure. In the sense, he's able to see how he's sitting on the top, and then it is connected to the navel of the Lord who is actually lying down at the very bottom. And he's able to see that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu this time. And he's seeing how there is a big white Sheshanaga on which the Lord is actually lying, and how from his navel there is an ocean, which is the Garbhodaka ocean, like we said, and from there is a connection which is actually coming up, and Brahma is sitting at the very top. So he's actually able to get that complete visualization of that picture. And like you can just Google that Garbhodaka Shahi Vishnu and Google Images, they'll show you a picture of the same thing. So Vishnu at the very bottom, and they'll show the 14 worlds right at the top. So that is different, right? So I mean, which is this, but it's different from the Vaikuntham one. So anyway, so here also he sees this, the form, the sixth this thing, it says Kamala Janmane, the one who came from the lotus. He then saw your form, which of course is the same thing, you know, Kirita Makutola, the crown, your beautiful blue complexion with like the Kalaya flower, and then you're having the Kaustuba jewel on your neck, you're having the bracelets and the, you know, Pitambaram, the yellow silk garment, all of the usual same, like how Vishnu is there in other places, Brahma is also seeing, except he's now seeing the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So Kirita Makutola Sat, and then put a comma. Kataka, Hara, Keyura, Yung, ing sound, put a plus, Yung, Mani, Spurita, Mekalam, comma, Suparivita, Pitambaram. Kirita Makutola Sate, Kataka, Hara, Keyura, Yung, Mani, Spurita, Mekalam, Suparivita, Pitambaram.
किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम् किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरहुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम्
किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम् किरीटमकुटोल्लसत् कटकहारकेयूरयुं मणिस्फुरितमेखलं सुपरिवीतपीताम्बरम्
Kalaya Kusuma Prabham, comma, Gala Talollasat Kaustubham, comma, Vapus Tadai Bhavaye, comma, Kamala Janmane Darshitam. Kalaya Kusuma Prabham, Gala Talollasat Kaustubham, Vapus Tadai Bhavaye, Kamala Janmane Darshitam.
कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम् कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैभावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्
कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैर्भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्.
After Bhavaye, there's a comma, okay?
After Bhavaye, okay. Okay. कलाय कुसुमप्रभं गलतलोल्लसत्कौस्तुभं वपुस्तदैर्भावये कमलजन्मने दर्शितम्.
Shruti Prakara Darshita Prachura Vaibhava Shripate, comma, हरे जय जय प्रभो कॉमा पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुरवैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः
श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुरवैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः
दृशोः that last visarga is at the end.
Okay. दिष्ट्या दृशोः श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुरवैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः
श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः श्रुतिप्रकरदर्शित प्रचुर वैभव श्रीपते हरे जय जय प्रभो पदमुपैषि दिष्ट्या दृशोः
कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे कॉमा भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठां put a in there and a comma karmatam next line miti becomes iti druhina varnita swaguna bamhima pahimam कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहिण वर्णित स्वगुण बंहिमा पाहि माम्
कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रोहिण वर्णित स्वगुणबंहिमा पाहि माम् कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहिण वर्णित स्वगुणां बंहिमा पाहि माम्
कुरुष्व धियामशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहीन वर्णित स्वगुण बंहिमा पाहि माम्
Tulsi, that dhiyamashu
oh sure कुरुष्व धियमाशु मे भुवन निर्मितौ कर्मठाम् इति द्रुहीन वर्णित स्वगुण बंहिमा पाहि माम्
Stanza 8 लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे भवत्मखिल साधनी मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमा दधाः मुदितचेतसं वेदसम्. So it's like, like we were talking early, right? It is like when you start your first day of work, you then get a long-term overview of what's going to happen. Then every day you have stand-in meetings. It's like that. So Brahma is now in the day. So he's now able to visualize, okay, this lotus is, this form is there. It's coming to this Vishnu here. And then he sees what all is already been created. The top worlds are already there. And he also has an idea of all the beings which are supposed to come. He starts getting that knowledge, right, of how things are going to be. And then here Brahma does a prayer really. He says, O Shripate, O husband of Sri Mahalakshmi, Jaya Jaya, praise to you. It's only because of you that from this I have been born. And I am actually blessed or to be able to, thanks for giving me an opportunity, right? Similarly, Brahma is also thanking the Lord, saying, thanks for giving me the opportunity to go expand on your creation and to go create all these worlds. And now he says, I understand my duty right now, right? As to how I need to repeat what I had created in my previous day. I have to repeat those, the creations and everything again. And all of this is possible only with your blessing. So Brahma is kind of doing a prayer, a long prayer to Vishnu here, which is stanza 7. And then Narayana, Vishnu is telling Brahma that, you have all the knowledge, because this time when you're born again, he already is endowed with the knowledge of the Vedas. He already has that knowledge. Says you already have all the knowledge which is actually required, and because of your devotion and everything, things will happen. just in the right way, right? And Brahma is also requesting that he do his daily job. Like every day morning, we are supposed to get up and pray, right? Saying that I'm going to do my job, but please make sure I'm doing it the right way, right? I'm not, deviating from the principles and everything, which is what Brahma is also requesting. I know the rules, I know the Vedas, but I need to make sure my execution is falling within the lines of what is prescribed. So Vishnu says it will be that way, right? And I have confidence in you that you will continue to execute it in the right way. As a blessing which is happening in stanza 8. So labhasva bhuvanatrayi rachana dakshatam akshatam, comma, grihana madanugraham, comma, kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe. Labhasva bhuvanatrayi rachana dakshatam akshatam, grihana madanugraham, kuru tapascha bhuyo vidhe.
लभस्य भुवनत्रये रचनदक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तवश्च भूयो विधे लभस्व भुवनत्रये रचनदक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तवश्च भूयो विधे
लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे लभस्व भुवनत्रयी रचन दक्षतामक्षतां गृहाणमदनुग्रहं कुरु तपश्च भूयो विधे
भवद्वकिल साधनी, comma, mahi cha bhaktirat. So if you have bhaktirat yutkateti and udirya, I don't know if any of you have it that way, then we just have to combine it. Otherwise, the way it will be is mahi cha bhaktirat yutkate, and then you put a plus, and then that it udirya will be there in the next line, right? So in that case, you just move the it to the end of the third line, so it'll be easy to say it. So bhaktirat yutkatet yudirya, but it comes together. Okay, so put a plus there. Bhaktirat yutkatet yudirya gira madadhaha. Put a visarga and comma. Mudita chetasam vedasam. Bhavatvakila sadhanin मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत् युधीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसं वेदसम्.
भवत्वखिल साधने मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसं वेधसम् भवत्वखिल साधने मयि च भक्तिरत्युत्कटेत्युदीर्य गिरमादधाः मुदितचेतसं वेधसम्.
Rajesh, at the end of Giri Madadaha, there is Visarga, right?
Yeah, Giri Madadhaha.
Okay.
You just have to add it. Some books don't have it there. So.
Bhavatvakila sadhani mayi cha bhaktirratyutkatet yudhirya giramadataha mudita chetasam vedasam. Bhavatvakila sadhani mayi cha bhaktirratyutkatet yudhirya giramadataha mudita chetasam vedasam.
Stanza 9. Shatam kritata pastataha, comma, sa khalu divya samvatsaran. Put in divya samvatsaran, comma. Next line the na becomes a. Avapya cha tapobalam, comma, matibalam cha purvadikam. Shatam kritata pastataha sa khalu divya samvatsaran avapya cha tapobalam matibalam cha purvadikam.
गतं कृतताप शतं कृततापस्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम्.
Gopiji, that first line, kritata pastataha.
शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलम् अतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम्
शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम् शतं कृततपास्ततः स खलु दिव्यसंवत्सरान् अवाप्य च तपोबलं मतिबलं च पूर्वाधिकम्.
After that tapobalam, there is a comma.
Yeah,
Second one.
yeah. Got it.
Udikshya kila kampitam, comma, payasi pankajam vayuna, comma, bhavat bala bijrumbhitaha, comma, pavana patasi pitavan. Udikshya kila kampitam, payasi pankajam vayuna, bhavat bala bijrumbhitaha, pavana patasi pitavan.
उदीक्ष किल कम्बितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्भदविजृम्भितः पवनपाधसि पीतवान् उदीक्ष किल कम्बितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवद्बलविजृम्भितः पवनपाधसि पीतवान्
उदीक्ष किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवत्फलविजृम्भितः पवनपाथसि पीतवान् उदीक्ष किल कम्पितं पयसि पङ्कजं वायुना भवत्फलविजृम्भितः पवनपाथसि पीतवान्.
That's it. तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः. So then when Lord has blessed Brahma now, so now he gets the required tapobalam and matibalam. So whatever spiritual power is required and mental powers are required for creation, once Brahma is completely blessed with it. So now, because of the Naimitika Pralayam which has happened previously, and one night 1,000 Chaturugams have passed, like we said, there is excess water in some places. The situation is not appropriate for creation. So Brahma has to first clean it up or reset it up. So they're saying what he does is he consumes all the unwanted things which are there in the Brahmandam. He first consumes it, so it's now ready for creation. And once that is done, then the next one says, now with your blessing, he's now going to start the actual process of creation. And from that, the example that is given in Bhagavatam very nicely is to say, if you have to grow like a farm, right? Then I give you some seeds of tomatoes, some seeds of apples, and I give you all these different seeds. You have your flower beds. You have all the equipment I have given you. Now what you have to do is you have to go construct it, and then you have to sprinkle the seedlings, right? He says that is really what Brahma is doing. Brahma is not creating those things, right? Because those things were already created by the Lord. All the Lord has, Narayana has given it to Brahma and say, here, take all this. All of this is inside you right now. I'm transferring all of this from the Garbhodaka Vishnu into you, O Brahma. You now go and create the remaining worlds and sprinkle these things so that all the jivas and everything which is going to come in the next chapter, all of those are getting created, because like we said, they never completely go away. It is just resting in a subtle form, and that subtle form of those things is given to Brahma, who then begins the process of creation of the various things. For that, Lord of Guruvayur, please protect me as well, and give me, with your deep compassion, please bless me as well. So tavaiva kripaya punaha, so that is there, put a visarga and comma, punaha sarasijena tenaiva saha, comma prakalpya bhuvana trayim, comma pravavrite praja nirmitau. तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजा निर्मितौ.
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानर्मितौ तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ
तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ तवैव कृपया पुनः सरसिजेन तेनैव सह प्रकल्प्य भुवनत्रयीं प्रववृते प्रजानिर्मितौ
तथा विध कृपाभरो गुरु मरुत् पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरु दयोक्षितैर् ईक्षितैः. If you want to break it, दयोक्षितैर् ईक्षितैः. तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः.
तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः
तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः
So see that last third line, last letter, Marutpuradishwara. Just there's no R at the end. Just
तथाविध कृपाभरो गुरुमरुत्पुराधीश्वर त्वमाशु परिपाहि मां गुरुदयोक्षितैरीक्षितैः. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane.
Okay, that completes this. Get to the next one. Lavanya, you can be a student, and Soumya, you can be a student. Okay. So Dashakam 10 is Srishti Bheda Varnanam. So now is the actual creation going to start, the variety of creation that's going to start, right? So stanza 1 is a different tune. वैकुण्ठवर्धितफलोत भवत्प्रसादात् अम्बोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्यनिवहान् नपि देवभेदान्. So the first is kind of giving a quick summary, right? So now that continuing, right? So Brahma now is endowed with all the power. He knows exactly what he's going to be done. So he has kind of the, like we gave the crude example of the seedlings. He has all of that. He also has the necessary passion, which is actually required for creation. So he starts. So first he has to start. So before something has to come, you need to make sure it has all the necessary things available. So he has to first start with things that don't move, right? So they talk about, and that is a sequence of evolution, right? So he first has to create vegetation, he has to create all the mountains, everything that is required, and then it starts with the lowermost species of life. So they have defined about 28 species of life. So these are lives which are extremely foolish, ignorant, have absolutely no desires, they can't even remember anything, right? That is the kind of species that it first starts with. Then the evolution happens, and there's a lower level of next level of evolution, right, which has only knowledge of, they have memory, but they have knowledge of hunger and thirst and what you call survival. That is all that they care about, right? But they don't have any acquired knowledge, no vision. Similarly, he starts creating all these things, because the second level of species, they're only caring about eating and sleeping and all that, and then so on and so forth. He starts creating all these increasing complexities. Now the jivas, the souls which are all there, which are all merged into the Lord, those souls are all beginning to come out. Of course, they don't all come out at one point, they start coming out. Now he has to put individual jivas, individual species, right, have to now take each of those souls. So that is how this evolution is happening at the various levels of species. And then it says he goes on to create humans, and then he goes on to create the various demigods, right? So even the demigods, there are different what do you call variety or layers of it, right? They create the gods who are in the upper planets, then there are the devas who are there, the gandharvas, all those people, siddhas, all of these people are actually created, each one based on the karma that is carrying over, as well as the level of maturity. So that is this is a very quick high level summary. We're going to see what is happening after step by step, but anyway, this is the first thing that he created in a certain sequence. So Vaikuntha Vardita Balota Bhavat Prasadat, put a comma, it and a comma. Next line the da becomes a. Ambhojayo Nirasrijat Kila Jiva Dehan Stasnuni Bhuru Hamayani Tata Tirascham, and then put a plus, Jatim Manushya Nivahan Api Deva Bhedan. वैकुंठवर्धित भलोत भवत् प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्.
वैकुंठवर्धित बलोत भवत् प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तासूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्. वैकुंठवर्धित बलोत भवत् प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्य निवाहनपि देवभेदान्.
वैकुंठ वर्धित बलोथ भवत् प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्थासूनि भूरुहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिर्मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्. वैकुंठ वर्धित बलोथ भवत् प्रसादात् अम्भोजयो निरसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्थास्नूनि भूरहमयानि तथा तिरश्चां जातिर्मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान्.
मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिराग विकोप भीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पंचविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्धामतामस पदार्थ विधानधूनः तेने त्वदीय चरण स्मरणं विशुध्ये. So now he's going to specifically come into actual beings which are getting created, right? So now when the actual beings, whether it be the gods, demigods, everybody, right? If you realize your real identity, which is to say you are actually deathless, your soul is always living, you are only taking a body. If you realize all of that, then there is nothing, right? Then there's no life for you, right? Because you already know everything, then you'll get liberated. So he has to create an environment where you don't remember any of that stuff, right? So he has to create. So that's where what Brahma first he has to do is he has to create this concept of deception, right? Where you are unable to understand what is happening. You have this concept of birth, you have this concept of death, you have anger which is required, frustration which is required. So all of this concept, the false egoism of I am my body, so all of that has to happen. So Brahma has to first create those, so that he creates 5 different things, which is those concepts, so that when you are born, you automatically adopt those concepts into you. So that's why when you're born, you realize I am this body, I have a death, I have this anger. So which, all beings have. So he first creates all of those things which are necessary. When he creates it, then he starts thinking, what a thankless job this is. Like I have to create it, but he also prayed at one point, is that I should be able to create this Advaitam and Dvaitam. He said, I should know that there are two different things, because so I can create two different people, but I should also know that there is Advaitam, that both are the same. But if all of us know that, then there's no existence for all of us, right? So when he says this is a thankless thing, I'm creating all this sense of ignorance, I'm creating this sense of frustration, anger, ego, and all deception in all these beings. So again, he then starts, once he's created these qualities, then he again goes on to meditate before he goes to the next level of creation. So Mithya Grahasmi Mati Raga Vikopa Bhitihi. Put a visarga and a comma. Bhitihi. Next time the Ra becomes A. Ajnana Vrittim iti Pancha Vidam Sasrishtva. Uddhama Tamasa Padartha Vidhana Dunaha. Put a visarga and a comma again. Dunaha. Next line is goes away. Tene Tvadiya Charana Smaranam Vishuddhyai. Mityagrahasmi matiraga vikopa bhitihi ajnana vrittimiti pancha vidham sasrishtva uddama tamasa padartha vidhana dunaha tene tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai.
मिथ्याग्रह अस्मि मतिराग विकोप भीतिः अज्ञान वृत्तिमिति पंचविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्धाम तामस पदार्थ विधान दूनः तेने त्वदीय चरण स्मरणं विशुद्ध्यैः.
So in the last line, tvadiya charana smaranam vishuddhyai.
त्वदीय चरण स्मरणं विशुद्ध्यैः. Okay. मिथ्याग्रह अस्मि मतिराग विकोप भीतिः अज्ञान वृत्तिमिति पंचविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्दाम तामस पदार्थ विधान धूनः तेने त्वदीय चरण स्मरणं विशुद्ध्यैः.
Vishuddhyai. No visarga there.
विशुद्ध्यैः.
मिथ्याग्रहास्म मतिराग विकोप भीतिः अज्ञान वृत्तिमिति पंचविधां ससृष्ट्वा उद्धाम तामस पदार्थ विधान दूनः तेने त्वदीय चरण स्मरण तेने त्वदीय चरण स्मरण विशुद्ध्यैः स्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै. मिथ्याग्रहास्मि मतिरागविकोपभीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पंचविधां सृष्ट्वा उद्धामतामसपदार्थविधान दूनः तेने त्वदीयचरण स्मरणं विशुद्ध्यै.
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्. So because he created all these negative things of ignorance and everything, he says, next I'm going to create knowledge. So he creates 4 ways of attaining liberation. One is the Sankhya Yoga, which is the analytical study, right? We saw the Kapilopakyanam, 15th Dasakam. So Sankhya Yoga is one. Second is the yoga by which you can attain liberation from getting away from material bondage, which is kind of don't get attached to things, that kind of knowledge. Then the third is, to get the spiritual understanding and get detachment of everything. And the 4 is to spiritual austerities, tapas and everything. So he creates his 4 principles of knowledge. And then he casts out of Brahma, right? Remember, at this point, there's only Brahma, right? Of course, Narayana is there, but the only other person outside of Narayana is just Brahma. So from Brahma, the four sages come. They are the first people to come after Brahma. So Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. These four of them come from Brahma. So the Brahma then goes and says, no, of course, like we say, the word children or father are very loosely used because they are really coming out of the mind of Brahma, right? So they're not like children like we call. So Brahma then goes and tells, I want each of you to own each of this knowledge. At the same time, I want you to help me with the process of creation. Now, creation has to happen. So I want you to take over this creation and help me out. But then when the four children got this knowledge, they are coming and saying, no thanks. I think this knowledge, we love it so much that we just want to be always praying to Mahavishnu or Narayana, and we don't want to get engaged in any activity or do any karma like you are doing. We don't want to do that, right? So then the question comes is, how can somebody say no to their father or the creator, right? When the creator is assigning your task to do, the only exception is you can say no if the alternative of what you are doing is praying to the Lord. If they had said instead of that, no, I don't want to do all this, I want to do something else, then that is wrong. So, but Brahma doesn't do anything. He says it's okay because the alternative of what you are doing is consciously we love praying to the God so much that we don't want to get engaged in anything else. We're happy with the knowledge, and with that knowledge, we are going to be there, right? Those are the four Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara who are actually first coming out. So, Tavat Sasarja Manasa Sanakam Sanandham, Bhuyaha put is Bhuyas Sanatana Munim cha Sanat Kumaram te Srishti Karmani Tutena Niyujyamanaha put a Visargan comma. Next line is goes away. Tvat Pada Bhakti Rasika Jagrihur na Vanim. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तोदेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्.
तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्. तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्.
तावत् ससृज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर् वाणीं
न वाणीं
जगृहुर्नवाणीं. तावत् ससृज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूयः सनातनमुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेन नियुज्यमानः त्वत्पादभक्तिरसिका जगृहुर्नवाणीम्.
Answer 4. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्दतोऽस्य भ्रूमत्यदोजनिमृढो भवदेकदेशः नामानि ते कुरुपदानि च हाभिरिञ्चेत् यादौ रुरोद किल तेन सरुद्रनामा. So when his first creation itself, the four Sanat Kumaras who he created, when they refused to listen to him, so Brahma felt a little frustrated, right? So he got a little bit of anger in his mind, because then he creates them It's like, you get somebody, you get them trained, and then the person ends up quitting the job, right? That's how Brahma is feeling, right? I came and I gave you all this knowledge, and then you are all saying that you don't want to do this anymore. But he can't stop, because like I said, what they are going to do is they are going to say, hey, we want to be always devoted to the Lord. We don't want anything else. So you can't blame them also. So there's still a small, because Brahma is his role is to create. So he has a passion. He has to go move forward. Even if these people refuse, he has to do something. So from that anger which is there between the eyebrows of Brahma, there comes a child. This child is a combination of blue and red in color. Blue referring to ignorance and red referring to passion. So this blue and red colored child who is actually coming between his eyes, and that child is called Mrida. So this Mrida, when the child comes up, it immediately begins to cry, saying, you know what, you are given birth to me now, right? And this has a little bit of extra passion, right? And a little bit of anger as well. He's saying that you are given birth to me now, I'm ready. So give me the job. Where is my place? What should I be doing? I need a name, I need a place, I need my to-do list. It's coming and asking him all of these things. So because that child cried and asked for it, it is called as Rudra. So that is how Rudra is born, from the middle of the eyebrows of Brahma. And we'll see more about it in the next stanza as well. So because the one Ruroda is the one who cries. And crying means not necessarily crying. Crying means going and asking, saying, I'm ready, give me something to do, right? So because he's crying or asking for it, it's called as Rudra. So Tavat Prakopa Muditam Prati Rundha Tosya, and then put a plus. Bhrumat Yatojhani, that word comes together. Bhrumat Yatojhani Mrido Bhavadeka Deshaha. Namani me kuru padani chaha. Put a plus at the end of that line. Virinchet Yadav, like we did the last time, put the it at the end of the third line, so you'll be able to say it. Virinchet Yadav Ruroda Kila Tena Sa Rudra Nama. Tavat prakopamuditam pratirundhatosya bhrumat yeto janimrido bhavadekadeshah namani me kurupadani chaha virinchet yadav ruroda kilatena sarudranama.
तावत् प्रकोपं मुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमद्यतो जनिमृडो भवतेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हा विरिञ्चयेति यदौ रुरोड किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
Lavanya, on the third line end, do you have Virincheti and Adav, or do you have Virinchet Yadav?
विरिञ्चेति आदौ.
Okay, so I think you have to just join it. Okay, so Virincheti and Adav, the T and A, you remove it and make it Virinchet Yadav. Why? Yadav.
विरिञ्चेत् यादौ.
Yeah.
Okay. तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमद्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हा विरिञ्चेत् यादौ विरिञ्चेत् यादौ रूरोड किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमद्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हा विरिञ्चेत्यादौ रुरोड किल तेन स रुद्रनामा.
And then the fourth line, and I think you Lavanya, Ruro da, I'm hearing Ruro da DH.
Okay.
तावत् प्रकोपमुदितं प्रतिरुन्धतोऽस्य भ्रूमद्यतो जनिमृडो भवदेकदेशः नामानि मे कुरु पदानि च हा विरिञ्चराधौ रूरोध किल ते स रुद्रनामा.
Tena sa. Last line. Tena
Tena sa Rudranama.
Stanza 5. एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्. So Brahma says, "Oh Rudra, Mrida, don't worry. So I'm going to give you 11 different forms, which are the 11 Rudras. And for each of the forms, I also have a Rudrani. I also have another companion for you. And I've identified 11 places for each of you, for each of that combination. He says, I'm giving you the full knowledge now. You so between the 11 Rudras and the 11 Rudranis, you go now start the process of creation. So that's what the Eka Dashahva. So 11 names are given, and there are 11 names are available. You can also quickly Google and see what are the 11 names of Rudra and Rudranis and all that. So Eka Dashahva Yataya. So H sound coming there. Dashahva Yataya. Cha Vibhinna Rupam, comma, Rudram Vidhaya Dayita Vanitash Cha Dattva Tavantya Datta Cha Padani Bhavat Pranunnaha, double na, Pranunnaha, comma, Praha Praja Virachanaya Cha Sadaram Tam. एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्.
एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्. एकादशाह्वयतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्.
एकादशाह्वतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्त्यदत्त च पदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनाय च सादरं तम्. एकादशाह्वतया च विभिन्नरूपं रुद्रं विधाय दयिता वनिताश्च दत्त्वा वनिताश्च दत्त्वा तावन्तया दत्तपदानि भवत्प्रणुन्नः प्राह प्रजा विरचनया च सादरं तम्.
And the last line, Virachanaya.
Okay.
Stanza 6. रुद्राभिसृष्ट भयदाकृति रुद्र संक संपूर्यमान भुवन त्रय भीत चेताः मामा प्रजा सृजत पश्चर मंगलायेत्याचष्टतं कमल भूर्भवदीरितात्मा. So now this 11 Rudras who are there, who are getting created. So when they now begin the process of creation, what's happening is they are creating people or beings who are very similar to them, not just in looks, etc., but also in the level of passion and a little bit of anger and everything which is actually there. And so when Brahma starts looking at what is actually happening, he's becoming a little worried, because what they're doing is they are becoming a little uncontrollable. That the population which is getting created is becoming a little uncontrollable, and also because of the excess anger that is there and destruction which is actually beginning to form. So Brahma then calls and says, look, even I am also afraid of them, right? You're going to scare everybody. So Brahma then calls the 11 Rudras and says, this is not the right. So he kind of stops the process there. and says, I want you to go into meditation again, and then you will then realize what needs to happen. So he tells these 11 Rudras, you take a break from the process of creation, you go into meditation, and with this penance, you'll eventually get the required more knowledge which is actually required to know what needs to be created next. So that is stopped right there. So Rudra Bisrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha, and then put a plus, Sampuryamana Bhuvana Traya Bhita Chetaha. So this we'll just do it as two lines because both the lines are joined. Rudra Bisrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha Sampuryamana Bhuvana Traya Bhita Chetaha.
Rudra Visrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha Sampuryamana Bhuvanatraya Bhita Chetaha. Rudra Visrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha Sampuryamana Bhuvanatraya Bhita Chetaha.
Rudra Bisrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha Sampuryamana Bhuvanatraya Bhita Chetaha. Rudra Bisrishta Bhayadakriti Rudra Sangha Sampuryamana Bhuvanatraya Bhita Chetaha.
Ma Prajaha. Put is Prajas Srija Tapaschara Mangalayet Yachashta. So same thing in case Laman you have Mangalayeti Achashta, then you have to combine it. It becomes Mangalayet it Yachashta. Put a plus there. Mangalayet Yachashta Tam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma. Mama Prajasruja Tapaschara Mangalayet Yachashtatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma.
Mama Prajasruja Tapaschara Mangalayet Yachastatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma. Mama Prajasruja Tapaschara Mangalayet Yachastatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma.
Sorry, Yachashtatam.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Mama Prajasruja Tapaschara Mangalayet Yachashtatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma.
Maybe D is a long D, Re is a short Re. So Bhavadiri Tatma.
Bhavadiri Tatma.
Yeah.
Mama Prajasrija Tapaschara Mangalayetyachastatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma. Mama Prajasrija Tapaschara Mangalayetyachastatam Kamala Bhur Bhavadiri Tatma.
So just 7. We do a couple and then we can stop. 7. Tasya tasarga rasikasya marichiratrihi tatrangirah kratumunih pulahah pulastyah angada jayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau srinaradascha bhagavan bhavadangridasah. So next from Brahma now comes the next set of beings. So it says here Marichi, Atri, Angirasa, Kratu Muni, then Bhrigu, then Pulaha, Pulastya, then Bhrigu is Bhrigu, Vasishta, and Daksha. So all of them are now coming, Daksha, and then finally Sri Naradascha Bhagavan. So Lord Narada is also coming. See, each of these 10 children who are actually listed here are actually coming from the different parts of Brahma's body. Out of this, Narada is the one who is actually coming from the thoughts of Brahma. From the consciousness or the thought or the deliberation of Brahma, Narada is coming, and each of the others are born from the various body parts of Brahma. So those are the next set of people who are actually getting born. So that is the sequence it is following, right? First, Sanaka, Sananda, all of them came. Then Rudra came, and from the Rudra, the 11 Rudranis were there. And then now these 10 other sons. So that's why they are all referred to as Manasaputra, or they're not literally like sons in the context, but they're coming from the thought, coming from the various parts of Brahma itself. So tasyata sarga rasikasya marichiratrihi. So marichir atri, two of them. So marichiratrihi, put a comma, visarga and a comma. Next line that is goes away. Tatrangiraha is there, put a ich sound, which is angirasa, angira. Kratu munihi is there, put a f. Kratu munif. Pulahaha, put a f again. Pulahaf, pulastyaha. So those are the names. So that you can kind of understand the names right from there. Angira, Kratumuni, Pulaha, Pulastya. Tasya tasarga rasikasya marichiratrihi tatrangirah kratumunif pulahaf pulastyah.
Tasya tasarga rasikasya marichiratihi tatrangira kratumunif pulahaf pulastyah.
Lavanya, the first line. Marichiratrihi, marichir atri. So marichiratrihi.
Okay. Tasya tasarga rasikasya marichir atrihi tatrangira kratumunif pulahaf pulastyah.
तस्यार्थसर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरत्रिः तत्राङ्गिराः कृतुमुनिः पुलः पुलस्यः तस्यार्थसर्गरसिकस्य मरीचिरत्रिः तत्राङ्गिरः कृतुमुनिः पुलकस्य पुलस्यः.
And the first word itself, I'm hearing an ir sound. There's no ir sound. Tasyata.
Okay.
Angada jayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau, comma, Shri Naradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha. Angada-jayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau Shri Naradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha.
Angadajayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha. Angadajayata bhriguscha vasishta dakshau Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangri Dasaha.
Angadajayata bhriguscha vashishtadakshau Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangridasah.
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
அது வந்து என்னக்கா இந்த see Bhagavan if the Lord is doing something, right? Then the Lord is the subject and it is Bhagavan. So here it is saying oh Lord. So அதனால it's வந்து like Bhagavan.
Okay. Angadajayata bhriguscha vashishtadakshau Srinarada Bhagavan Bhavadangridasah.
Naradascha on the last line.
Naradascha Bhagavandridasah. Okay.
We'll stop it here today. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhranandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurpurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye.
Thank you.